His orders were promptly and accurately obeyed, and then turned again to the owner. "And how did this misfortune occur?" inquired the latter, resuming the interrupted conversation. "Alas, sir, in the most unexpected manner. After a long talk with the harbour-master, Captain Leclerc left Naples greatly disturbed in mind. In 24 hours he was attacked by a fever and died 3 days afterwards. We performed the usual burial service, and he is at his rest, sewn up in his hammock, with a 36-pound shot at his head and his heels, off El Giglio Island. We bring to his widow his sword and cross of honour. It was worthwhile, truly," added the young man with a melancholy smile, "to make war against the English for 10 years, and to die in his bed at last, like everybody else." "Why, you see, Edmond," replied the owner, who appeared more comforted at every moment, "we are all mortal, and the old must make way for the young. If not, why, there would be no promotion, and since you assure me that the cargo—" "Is all safe and sound, Monsieur Morel, take my word for it, and I advise you not to take 25,000 francs for the profits of the voyage." Then, as they were just passing the round tower, the young man shouted, "Stand by there to lower the topsails and jib, brail up the spanker." The order was executed as promptly as it would have been on board a man of war. "Let go and clew up." At this last command all the sails were lowered, and the vessel moved almost imperceptibly onwards. "Now, if you will come on board, Monsieur Morel," said Dantès, observing the owner's impatience, "here is your supercargo, Monsieur Danglars, coming out of his cabin, who will furnish you with every particular. As for me, I must look after the anchoring and dress the ship in mourning." The owner did not wait for a second invitation. He seized a rope which Dantès flung to him, and with an activity which would have done credit to a sailor, climbed up the side of the ship, while the young man, going to his task, left the conversation to Danglars, who now came towards the owner. He was a man of 25 or 26 years of age, of unprepossessing countenance, obsequious to his superiors, insolent to his subordinates. And this, in addition to his position as responsible agent on board, which is always obnoxious to the sailors, made him as much disliked by the crew as Edmond Dantès was beloved by them. "Well, Monsieur Morel," said Danglars, "you have heard of the misfortune that has befallen us?" "Yes, yes, poor Captain Leclerc. He was a brave and an honest man." "And a first-rate seaman, one who had seen long and honourable service, as became a man charged with the interests of a house so important as that of Morel and Son," replied Danglars. "But," replied the owner, glancing after Dantès, who was watching the anchoring of his vessel, "it seems to me that a sailor need not be so old as you say, Danglars, to understand his business, for our friend Edmond seems to understand it thoroughly, and not to require instructions from anyone." "Yes," said Danglars, darting at Edmond a look gleaming with hate. "Yes, he is young, and youth is invariably self-confident. Scarcely was the captain's breath out of his body when he assumed the command without consulting anyone, and he caused us to lose a day and a half at the island of Elba, instead of making for Marseille direct." "As to taking command of the vessel," replied Morel, "that was his duty as captain's mate. As to losing a day and a half off the island of Elba, he was wrong, unless the vessel needed repairs." "The vessel was in as good condition as I am, and as I hope you are, Monsieur Morel, and this day and a half was lost from pure whim, for the pleasure of going ashore and nothing else." "Dantès," said the shipowner, turning towards the young man, "come this way." "In a moment, sir," answered Dantès, "and I'm with you." Then, calling to the crew, he said, "Let go!" The anchor was instantly dropped, and the chain ran rattling through the porthole. Dantès continued at his post in spite of the present